So yesterday, we were in Luke 22. We looked at the first half of the prayer that Jesus prayed, which is, it's my favorite prayer. It might be my favorite moment from the life of Jesus, because the Garden of Gethsemane is just a place where, for me, it's so easy to relate. Because there's so many times where I want what I want. There's so many times I want my way and my will more than I want God's. And yesterday we talked about that first half of the prayer of just being honest with God about where we are and why this is hard, and maybe why we're frustrated or why we're upset about this, or why we don't understand why God seems to be leading us a particular direction when we would so much prefer that for this to kind of go a different way. But today what I want us to do is to look at the second half of Jesus' prayer. So it's just the second half of Luke chapter 22, verse 42. And this is where Jesus says, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Because that's where we all have to end up. We can have our moments. Again, the psalmists did this all the time. The truth is, some of the psalms sound like temper tantrums. They just are really upset and like, how come this is this way? And why does this have to be this way? And I just want to say it's okay. It was okay for the psalmists. Their little rants made it into scripture. But in the end, they came to a place of surrender to God. Jesus the same. He said, if there is any other way to do this, let's go with that way. But then he says, in the end, Father, it's not about what I want, it's about what you want. It's not about me choosing a different way. It's about me doing what you might be saying is the only way. And Jesus was faithful to that. And he is our ultimate example. I think this is why this is one of my favorite moments. He's so clearly my example for what I should be doing and how I should be living. And in the context of what we're doing, it's how I should be praying. But does my prayer life actually look like Jesus? This is how Jesus prayed. And if you want to be like Jesus, you have to learn to pray like Jesus, and that means long prayers that lead to total surrender. This is not a one-time thing. You can't pray one long prayer today and get to total surrender. This is a part of our ongoing prayer lives. And maybe with the thing that you've identified this week as like what you really need to surrender to God, it's going to be more than one day of long prayer of surrender, but God is going to get you there. And that's where you want to be in life. You want to be in God's will, not yours. And that's what this prayer is about today. It's about surrendering it all to him and saying from an honest heart, God, I genuinely want what you want more than what I want. I want your will rather than mine. And if you're like, I don't know if I can say that with an honest heart, then that's where you should start with your prayer. You should start by saying, God, help me to get to the place where I can say this with total honesty and total sincerity. It may not still be easy. You may not like it, but that's where you need to get. Because if we want to be like Jesus, we have to learn to pray like Jesus.